thank you all once again for joining me on today's 8:20 urgency meeting. I know we've been here before, and those of you who are joining me for the first time, I definitely want to express my gratitude for even you taking the time out of your busy schedule, your busy day, your busy moments of each day to consider words from this guy you don't know, may have heard about, maybe not, but even the subject about 8:20, 500 seconds of resilience. And maybe you had a chance to peruse or review some of the previous podcasts, or maybe visited the website to get a feel for who this guy is behind this microphone and this podcast. So regardless of how we got here together, thank you for sharing your presence, even though it's ethereal and distant and remote. Yet here we are having this, in quotation marks, conversation today. Today's topic: shine like you do. Shine like you do. Now, as I mentioned before, and pardon me for repeating this again, and we'll get into it on the definition of why I mentioned this to you. But even this topic today, shine like you do, really comes from another reminder for me on my music interest. There's a band back in the 80s again called In Excess, INXS, In Excess. The lead singer was Michael Hutchence. And I just got into that band, In Excess, and then unfortunately he passed mid or late 80s. I think it was, maybe early 90s. But I never met the person, never met the band, but I love the energy and the videos of their songs. And again, I didn't know this person, but something about his voice and his presentation, his band, he just struck me and resonated with me even to this day. But anyway, on that song that they made was called Shine Like It Does. I kind of got that from that song for this episode for 8:20 called Shine Like You Do. And to me, that song and my reference in this podcast, I'm trying to make the point about resilience and about your beauty that represents your resilience. Your beauty shines through you. Shines through you, becomes evident in you, in your being, or from your being, or from the essence of your being, and in your very presence. So, before I go too far astray and give you a more contextual reference, back to the book, Resilience, The Beauty of Presence. I have definitions in that book. So today I'm going to focus on the beauty part. I define beauty as your awareness of what drives you. Beauty, defined in that book, is your awareness of what drives you. For me, as I mentioned before, let me emphasize just one more time, what drives me in the book that I kind of summarized was in 4 words: music, light, energy, and money. Now, of course, the book was published, and then I started these podcasts, but somewhere in that transition between the book being published and available and me doing a podcast, I further summarized what really drives me. Those 4 words really indicate to me, from my core, what does drive me. But in one word, those 4 words are down to one word called currency. All 4 of those represent my currency. I need to make sure it is fresh, is current, and that should shine through me if that's what drives me, and that's how I personally have defined my presence. So whether you recognize it or not, whether you recognize your undefined yet or to be defined beauty, it's coming through. It comes through you. whether you're aware of it or not. Now, your beauty is not something you can pick up from Amazon or Walgreens or Costco. Your beauty gets evidenced by showing to yourself and then to others what actually drives you. Now, I know I'm asking you to take a leap of faith with me that one, yes, considering this podcast and these podcasts. Secondly, considering the book reference that I have distilled these podcasts from, Resilience, the Beauty of Presence. I'm asking you to take a leap of faith and ask yourself that question. What drives you? Maybe it's already been queried to yourself or you've answered it before, but I'm asking you to, before you've heard from me or even considered my approach, consider that. What drives you? I'm asking you to make that concretized in your presence and what is you define as your beauty. So first, clarify to yourself and then to others what you produce from and in your presence. Your service, your product, your message, your purpose, your profit in this moment and in this day, this now. So, where does this shine, this light, this thought come from for you? From the initial and constant spark of life at your essence, at your core of life. That's where it comes from. Now, as I said before, whether you recognize it or not, it is there. That initial and constant spark of life at the core of you is at your heart. That humble pilot light of life that I mentioned before is what started that engine, that heart running in your body that keeps you going forward. Whether you know that or not, you're going forward. That's where you can start to shine from there. I'm asking you to consider that as a reference point and as a new construct of where your light shines from. So when you find yourself a bit lost in their enforced format or conditions or structure, reset and recover your direction with that internal light. That's your voice. That's your resilience. I'm asking you at the conclusion of this episode to simply shine like you do. Please stay present, stay current. It is always 8:20.